Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
Thank you for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. We start tonight with news from across Texas. The Texas Supreme Court heard arguments from both sides of Senate Bill 14 yesterday. This bill prohibits children from undergoing procedures and treatments for gender-affirming care. After a lawsuit was filed in July, the Supreme Court is trying to determine whether SB 14 is unconstitutional or not. CBS7's Noe Ortega met with people on both sides of this bill and what this case means to them. Noe?
The lawsuit filed over the summer against the bill claims it violates parents' constitutional rights to make medical decisions for their children, that this bill discriminates against transgender youth on their sex and transgender status.
They're fine if it's a 9-year-old girl that's pregnant and forcing that pregnancy and forcing them to give birth. They're fine with that, right? Which, as we also know, is taking away self-determination, it's taking away health care, and it's taking away parental rights.
The lawsuit also claims that SB 14 violates medical professionals' right to practice their own profession.
They can be used for other health care treatments, but if you're in the age range of 9 to 16, you're banned from them completely because, the right feels like you're doing bad things that they don't like.
This ban is related to health care for transgender minors such as puberty blockers and hormones.
If a person wants to have this surgery, there's nothing in the law that stops them from doing that after the age of 18. But it makes common sense that you should be emotionally and physically and mentally mature enough to make that decision for yourself.
Representative Landgraf says he had lots of support from his constituents in West Texas when he voted in favor of SB 14. And he believes the Supreme Court will find that this does not violate the U.S. Constitution.
To ban these types of medical procedures that are not medically necessary, but that can have long-lasting, permanent, and negative impacts on the lives and bodies of children.
Today's the last day of January, a month that marked human trafficking awareness across the country. In honor of this, tomorrow night, I'm highlighting a few organizations in the Permian Basin that help victims find jobs, a place to live, and hope for the future. Basin Dream Center is one of those organizations offering transitional living for adults who are homeless, at risk, or who have aged out of the foster care system.
Kids who age out of foster care, 60% of the female population will end up in the sex industry in some sort of way. Statistically, our young men will 60% of them will be incarcerated at some point in their life.
The Basin Dream Center helps by providing a home, a safe space, and a seat at the dinner table. But they aren't the only organization in West Texas that is working day in and day out to stop trafficking and help victims. Tomorrow on CBS7 First Alert News, watch my special report, Picking Up the Pieces, where we hear from a victim of human trafficking and the organizations in the Permian Basin that help victims. The full special report is this Thursday at 6 and 10 and at 9, right here on the CW. And the Odessa Police Department is warning the public about multiple credit and debit card scammers being found at local gas stations. Skimmers' devices read and store card information from the magnetic strip of your card to be used at a later date. Skimmer devices usually look similar to the machine that they are attached to and can be difficult to notice. If you believe that you've been the victim of a skimmer device, contact your bank. And if you have any information on these devices, please contact the Odessa Police Department. In a story that's all new at 9 tonight, an update for you. We've got on a robbery that we told you about last week when an elderly woman had her purse stolen at a Dollar General in December. These two 34-year-old Blaine Decker and 38-year-old Zachary Woody have been arrested thanks to a tip that OPD received. Decker was charged with theft of property, 2 or more prior convictions, and Woody was charged with theft of property. In tracking crime now, 2 people are behind bars after police say that they stole a truck and held 2 people at gunpoint. According to police, 38-year-old Isaac Carrasco approached a GMC Sierra at First Basin Credit Union Auto, and he ordered the victims to get out. Officials say that after the victims refused, Carrasco fired a round into the air. Police report that the victims eventually got out of the truck and Carrasco drove away with it. Authorities were able to find the truck in the 2600 block of Beatty and identify Carrasco. Officers also discovered that 22-year-old Taylor Woods helped Carrasco with the robbery. Both Woods and Carrasco are facing aggravated robbery charges. And a Mexican national has been sentenced to 41 months or 3.5 years in prison for cocaine trafficking in West Texas. Ana Cristina Alarcón Rios, 24, of Chihuahua, was stopped for speeding along Highway 90 in Alpine. A canine search of Rios's vehicle turned up 10 bundles of cocaine weighing 11.1 kilograms. Rios pled guilty in August of last year but was just recently sentenced. And you're looking now at a memorial for Councilman at Large Dan Corrales. It's been put up in the council chambers at City Hall. Midlanders who want to remember Corrales' legacy can visit the memorial from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This weekend, the city of Midland is having its monthly rescue runners in Corrales' honor. The city says that he had a love and dedication to animals in Midland. Rescue Runners is on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Midland Animal Services. And you'll remember water erupted on a Crane County ranch in December and flooded about 30 acres of land that is now ruined for the foreseeable future. This week, the Railroad Commission says that a well was plugged on the land and the flow of water has stopped as of January 21st. The RRC reports it's hauled water off the ranch 24/7 while working there and says that it cost a total of $2.5 million. The RRC is working with the Bureau of Economic Geology to figure out the source of the water.
This is not an oil well. I don't think. It's not. It doesn't meet the qualifications of an oil well. It's producing salt water, and by it not being on a map, it goes back to we don't really know why this well was drilled.
For more on Rancher Bill White's story, you can visit our website, CBS7.com. We're going to talk your weather forecast now with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefer-Teller. Tom, we saw a little bit of rain out there in Odessa. Are we going to get any more of that?
No, that's it. And it's going to probably be it till maybe Friday afternoon as rainfall amounts. Well, they were very light today. 1/100th inch in Marfa, 5/100ths over towards the Alpine area, and 2/100ths in Fort Stockton. The further east you got, everything was really light, just trace amounts across the Midland, Odessa area, and not a lot still out there. Again, just a few light showers mixed in with some light rain moving across and towards the Big Spring area now from Stanton over towards Garden City and down across portions of western Reagan County and towards Iran, Sheffield, and now starting to clear portions of Terrell County. Take a look at our temperatures right now. It's a little on the cooler side, upper 50s out of the Miller National Air and Spaceport. Lower 50s down in the mountain areas as the rain and clouds have helped cool things off just a touch. And we are dealing with some wind out of the southeast up to 23, a little gusty around the Fort Stockton area. And in the vicinity of some of those showers, we could see some gusty winds at times. But clearing skies, warmer temperatures on the way for tomorrow into Groundhog Day. But there will be a cold front later on Friday, maybe a shower with it, and a lot of wind and dust and more seasonable weather for the weekend. We'll talk more about all of that here in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Tom. If you're looking for a new lunch spot in the Permian Basin, Odessa College is the place for you. OC's restaurant is called O Cuisine, and it's a fancy dining experience opening to the public 2 days a week. It's a chance for locals to enjoy tasty food cooked by culinary students who are practicing what they've learned in class. The restaurant serves as a hands-on training platform for these students to apply the knowledge gained in their classrooms. With 2 kitchens available, students progress through the program, deciding on their focus areas, such as culinary management, hospitality, baking, among other options before graduation. While the program may seem time-consuming and intimidating, culinary students Abigail Ortiz and Emily Schultz shed light on the rewarding aspects, emphasizing the value of the experience, even if it doesn't become a future career. They highlight the joy of eating what they create and the personal growth gained from the program.
If I had to say something to get people to come here, it's like food. Like you get to eat everything you make.
The food, and even if the experience is scary, like I said,
Yeah.
it's an experience, and that's the point. You
Yeah.
get to learn from it and grow from it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't end up doing it as your future career, you still got that
Experience for
in your life.
If you'd like to make a reservation at O Cuisine, the restaurant welcomes guests every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 1. And calling all book lovers in the community, the Odessa Arts relaunched the One Book, One Basin to celebrate literacy in the community. Low literacy has become a big problem in the Permian Basin, and this program aims to change that. According to the executive director of the Literacy Coalition, 1 in 3 adults in the Permian Basin read below a third-grade reading level. Odessa Arts believes the ability to read is a human right and says that everyone should be able to read their doctor's prescriptions and highway signs, as well as immerse themselves in a good story.
Low literacy rates are a huge challenge for our country as a whole. We have focused so much on the academic forms of it, and a lot of the reading for pleasure has become something more niche.
Learning how to read well starts at a young age, which is why Odessa Arts encourages parents to help their child in finding opportunities to read books.
To start to engage our children and our young adults and to keep them reading and obviously to encourage that literacy throughout their lives.
To help promote literacy, One Book, One Basin will have 2 book authors hosting a lecture series for the community starting this weekend. And mark your calendar because Odessa College has kicked off its Drive to Success. This is a video from last year's Drive to Success giveaway. Students that participate in the Drive to Success work all semester to earn a chance to win a new Ford Mustang at the end of spring. The first Drive to Success was in fall of 2017. And now for a look at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website, CBS7.com. And still ahead, the House Homeland Security Committee voted Wednesday to advance their impeachment resolution on Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. What happened in that meeting? Up next. A committee voted along party lines to ask the House to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Republicans accuse him of failing to limit immigration at the southern border, but there is little, if any, evidence that Mayorkas broke any laws. And while House Republicans were working to impeach him over the immigration, they were also saying that they would block a bipartisan bill to help fix the issue. Scott McFarland is on Capitol Hill with more.
Thousands of miles from the southern border where the Biden administration is grappling with thousands of illegal migrant crossings a day, House Republicans set their sights on the nation's Homeland Security Secretary.
Secretary Mayorkas has put his political preferences above following the law.
After an all-day hearing that went into the night, the Republican-led House Homeland Security Committee approved 2 articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas.
I bet our founding fathers are just rolling over in their graves,
claiming he willfully failed to follow immigration law without producing evidence.
It's clear he's not done his job. He's been derelict in his duties, he's violated his oath of office.
Democrats blasted the hearing as partisan gamesmanship in an election year.
The House Republicans are doing everything they can at Donald Trump's direction to sabotage any legislation because you don't want solutions, you just want politics.
Is this really a high crime and misdemeanor?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a cabinet secretary who is totally disregarding the laws passed by Congress.
Mayorkas is also a key negotiator in Senate talks to overhaul U.S. border security laws. But on Tuesday, Republican Speaker Mike Johnson reiterated it may be dead on arrival in the House.
What's been suggested is in this bill is not enough to secure the border.
Even if the full U.S. House follows the committee's lead and votes to impeach Mayorkas in the coming weeks, that effort is certain to hit a dead end in the Democratic-controlled Senate, which would prevent Mayorkas from being the first cabinet secretary removed since the 1800s. Scott McFarland, CBS News, the Capitol.
Well, we did see a little bit of rain shower activity this evening. Looks like it's going to move out of the forecast pretty quick. We'll talk about what's going to replace it up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, let's take a look at the weather makers right now. We are seeing that for the most part, the areas of light rain moving off to the east. Let's see if we have those. There we go. I want to show this first off, then we'll show the weather makers, showing you the areas of rain that continue to stream across portions of the Permian Basin. Now, this stuff is very, very light and quick moving as it does chug off to the east, but really lining up from Lubbock, Lamesa, back down towards Stanton. Maybe areas western Reagan County down towards Iran, Sheffield, looking at some of the shower activity this evening. But you can see the clearing line not that far away, and we're going to see that move through as this whole disturbance moves out of the area, be replaced by a little ridge of high pressure for at least a couple of days before we start to get under the influence of this next storm system. It's going to pass to our north, but it's going to develop low pressure across central portions of the U.S. And as all that happens, we're going to see a lot of wind coming up in our forecast. Now take a look at the Texas view of the satellite and radar again. A little bit of green showing up here, but as rainfall amounts have shown us, things are very light as it does chug off to the east, and we're seeing clearing already out towards Pecos, El Paso. Already seeing the clearing start to roll in, so that's going to make for a nice overnight as temperatures across the state today. Look at all the 70s, 77 in Brownsville, 76 Houston, Dallas-Fort Worth area. We were held down on temperatures a little bit into the mid 60s today because of the clouds and the rain, but where we had a little bit of clearing, up to 72 out towards El Paso. Clearing line moves through about midnight, making for a nice start to the day, lots of sunshine, and we'll have some high clouds out there mixed in with a lot of sunshine for tomorrow, and that's going to allow temperatures to go up once again across the area, well above where we should be this time of the year. Move the clock ahead towards Friday. Here's where we could see, again, that next disturbance, maybe bring a shower or two in the forecast by Friday afternoon with that front. Tonight, clearing skies, light winds, temperatures down into the lower 40s. And then for tomorrow, the mid-70s are on the way across the area, so looking pretty good across West Texas as we'll have that southwest wind helping warm those temperatures up, running about 15 degrees plus above where we should be this time of the year. And so it's going to be a warm start to February, Groundhog Day. Probably see a shadow here in West Texas, about 70 degrees on the afternoon high before we start to see some isolated showers. A possibility with that front swinging through Friday into early Saturday. And in its wake, we're going to see a lot of wind in the forecast, areas of blowing dust and temperatures into the lower 60s. So back to where we should be on those temperatures coming up for the first weekend in February.
Still ahead, it's decision day for interest rates. What the Federal Reserve's choice means for your wallet, up next. In your consumer news, interest rates are at a 20-year high, which has made it difficult to buy a home or a car. At the same time, inflation remains higher than normal. The Federal Reserve took both those things into account during its latest meeting on interest rates. Bradley Blackburn tells us what happened.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and the board decided to once again leave interest rates alone. With inflation falling significantly over the past year and a half to 3.4%, the group didn't see the need for a rate hike. But the Fed also isn't ready to lower rates either, because it wants inflation down to 2%. The question now, when will rates come down? The Fed meets again in March.
I don't think it's likely that the committee will reach a level of confidence by the time of the March meeting to identify March as the time to do that.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
More people believe that it is the May meeting, the subsequent meeting, where we will see a rate cut.
The Fed started raising rates in 2022, and many analysts feared it could crater the economy, but that hasn't happened. The job market has remained strong, and consumers continue to spend at a healthy pace, but higher rates are hurting the real estate market. Home sales are down, with mortgage rates way up from 2022 levels. Interest on credit cards is at a record high, now nearing 21%. And average rates for a used car loan are up more than 3 percentage points from 2 years ago.
If borrowers are the ones who are feeling the brunt of high interest rates, savers continue to be very pleased. So we see high-yield savings accounts and online accounts generating 4 or 5% interest. It's really remarkable.
And for now, interest rates will remain high until the Fed decides to bring them down. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Honey, I shrunk the moon. Well, I didn't, but it is shrinking. Find out by how much next on CBS7 News at 9. All right, you need to keep your eye on the moon because it's shrinking. Scientists say that our moon's circumference has shrunk by about 150 feet in the last million years. That doesn't sound like much, and it won't affect Earth, but it indicates a geologically active satellite, and it also contributes to moonquakes and landslides on the rock, once thought to be seismically inactive. Those aren't expected to impact the Artemis 3 mission that could send astronauts to the moon as soon as 2026. They shrunk the moon.
They shrunk. It's shrinking, and it's also moving a little bit further away.
Really?
Each year too. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Not as big in the sky.
Is that going to affect our weather at all?
No, I
Colder
don't think so.
temperatures,
We're going to
maybe?
see, the effects on the weather tomorrow. Well, it's going to be very nice. Ridge of high pressure means 75 degrees. Beautiful day.
All right.
Start of February.
That's good. Thank you for joining us for CBS 7 News at 9. We've got more news coming up tonight at 10.